The new war in Middle East has started, and this war actually has brought chaos to whole region. So that means not only Israel, Iran and Lebanon is involved, but the whole region, the whole prosperous Gulf states have been targeted by this war. And that means this is the largest disruption in recent decades. And what does it mean? Does it mean chaos and instability and uncertainty in those regions, or does it mean us traders have potentially good place here and we could make decent amounts of money? In this video, let's explore this. Let's see what has happened in financial markets and how smart short-term and long-term traders could actually make some money out of this war. So let's roll in. Okay traders, now we are at Vantage Markets platform and we are going straight to our trading dashboard. As you see, this trading dashboard is brought up with trading view, and that means we have exceptionally good trading analytics and trade view. So what we are going to look firstly at commodities, which is oil. Secondly, we will look at gold as safe haven asset, and then we will explore what's happening in largest markets such as S&P 500, and we will see how markets actually have reacted to these events and what we might expect as a trader. So first things first, let's go to stock market, and now we have open S&P 500, and as we see, S&P 500 is still at all-time highs. So it was nearly 7,000 at early 2026, and now it has fallen to like 6,800. So I would say this is random fluctuation, and if one wouldn't know if there is war or isn't, he wouldn't know, because as you see, long-term and short-term volatility is at the levels, and markets are saying this wouldn't disrupt global businesses across the world, and especially in America, because S&P 500 is representing mostly American companies. So there is actually nothing to talk about. If you are a short-term trader, well, your short-term trade setups isn't disrupted that much, and for long-term traders, you see that trend actually ended at, I would say, late 2025, when it actually started a few years earlier, and there is nothing much happening since November 2025. We are fluctuating between 7,000 and 6,600, and there's really not much to say about this market. So global stocks for now are fine. What happens to gold? Well, if we are going to, I would say, slightly larger time frame, we see that spectacular rise in gold has been, I would say, made his zenith in early February 2026, late January 2026, when it reached 5,600 and around 20. So this was peak of metals, peak in gold and peak in silver, and then it made obvious correction from 5,600 to 4,400. But if we look at slightly longer time frame, we see that there isn't, I would say, big challenges to this trend, because it continued to rise phenomenally for the last couple of years, and even this correction in previous weeks has been only slight dent. But overall, I would say this is slightly beneficial for gold, because when it started at February 2028, it actually made some quick gains, then it broke down, I don't know why, and now it's at approximately the same levels when gold war just started. So my bet is it probably will go slightly higher depending on intensity of this war, but overall gold market remains positive despite this huge parabolic move from 4,600 to 5,600 to 4,600. As you see, I'm not actually mentioning war or anything like that, because war has very little impact, only this small rise and this correction later on in a couple of last days. That's it. This is initial reaction to this whole messy and unpleasant war. But now let's go to more interesting asset, which of course is oil. As you see here now, oil actually were pretty low in the last couple of weeks, and actually it went in, I would say, record of last couple of years by reaching $55, which is Brent oil. No, excuse me, this is the West Texas Intermediate. But anyways, oil correlates, so you could look at any oil market, it would draw the same pattern. So it had been going to recent year lows at January 2026 and actually made some higher ups to $66. I don't know whether this is due to Iran disruptions or because markets were simply quite low. I don't know, but this was regular market moves. And of course, if we scroll it narrower, we see that this is Friday and this is Monday. And of course, market spiked from 67 to $74. And for the last couple of days, it has been, I would say, making moves in this range from 74 to 69 to 78. So markets actually have been like nearly $8 higher, and that's it for now. So markets are predicting, yes, there will be some risks, but then there won't be any major disruptions in oil producing countries in Gulf region or Strait of Hormuz wouldn't be disrupted that much because there is interest of China, which is key ally of Iran, and China wants their oil. That's my bet why markets are not reacting as dramatically as one would imagine. But let's go and make quick, I would say, overlap to slightly different market, which isn't actually that tradable for most of the traders, which is natural gas market in Europe. So if you look at natural gas market in Europe, we see that actually natural gas spiked from 32 to 50. That means actually this is almost 100% spike. It seems dramatic, right? But if we narrow it, if we expand it to 5 years, we see pattern like this. This was early 2022 when Ukrainian and Russian war was at full scale. It was at 340. And then it collapsed to almost 20, which is average price when all gas markets in Europe were fine and cheap gas was flowing from Russia. And actually it was hovering at around these levels for last year, and actually just in February 2026, despite relatively cold winter, it was at near historic lows. So actually in absolute terms, this is nothing for long-term European gas prices. And this is interesting because actually Qatar suspended natural gas production in one of its main fields and suspended natural gas exports, and Qatar is one of the largest natural gas exporters in the world. So that's more serious than oil market, but still Europe for now, I'm emphasizing for now, actually has been pretty stable in this regard. So that's interesting thought. But now let's get back to our markets and let's see what could be the proper trade setups. For long-term traders, this changes nothing, because if you are a long-term trend follower and if you are trading S&P 500, oil and gold, well, your long-term trend has been up for the last couple of years. You saw that just as you started to trade gold in late 2025, you actually made another trade when prices crossed moving average and then went long again at early February 2026, and you probably have been long, and these actions in Middle East wouldn't disrupt your trades at all, because trend was up, prices were above moving average, and you have nothing to worry about. Similar with S&P 500. Here the situation isn't that good, because here markets have been risen sharply since May 2025 and stopped at late October 2025. So this was the move which traders made as trend followers, and now for the last couple of months there have been flat markets, so that means they have actually probably lost few euros, because you have constant whipsaw trades here. But now trend is slightly on the short-term move, and actually it went short at February 2027. So that means if you were a good trend follower, you actually went short at Friday, and potential fall in in S&P 500 would be of your advantage. But we don't know whether this fall might be extended even more. Let's see for that. And as regards to oil, well, actually oil have been rising since early 2026. Any trend follower, any long-term position trader would already been long for some time, and this move actually would simply add to his profits. So trend was up for 1 month, So that means you were up 1 month earlier and simply watch the prices. I wouldn't call it as enjoy the show, because war is a horrible thing and you have to avoid war. War doesn't in long term benefit anyone, but actually this was your trade, this was your advantage. You started to follow trend earlier in early 2026, made some long bets, forgot about everything else. You could simply ignore the news and money was yours. So this is how you could actually trade. So what you have to simply do, you simply have to open trading account, for instance in Vantage markets, which we are now exploring. Use these types of charts, simply set up long at least 4-hour trades, 4-hour time frames, excuse me, and from our time frames you simply have to set up trades whether prices are above or below moving average. For instance, prices were above moving average in early 2026, just as I said in oil market, you simply went long, and all what's happened now with all these uncertainties regards war is simply your profit, because you were making money in the trends. Same with S&P 500. Markets went at downtrend just few days before war started, and if markets will collapse, this is simply area for your profit. If we look at gold, similar stuff. Gold made huge parabolic move, and in early 2020, February 2026, you also had signal when prices went above moving average. That's where you went long, and for last month simply watch how prices accelerated above major trend line, and whatever happens here, either you will fix small profit or markets will spike up even more if war goes out of hand, and this is all your profit. So here's conclusion. Just follow the trend. You don't know what will happen with the war, how markets will react to developments of war. You simply follow trend. In all major markets, in S&P 500, in gold and in oil, you had to simply follow the trends weeks before the war, and all these moves which happened when war started are in your advantage. Whether this is oil, these are stocks, this is gold, this is all your trading opportunity. All you have to do is understand trend following and have correct broker for it. So if you want to trade like this, be simple. Write me on Telegram. I will show you how to trade these types of approaches correctly, where there is tremendous money making opportunities, and join Vantage markets, because we work with Vantage markets and they have phenomenally good and transparent way how to trade these kinds of trends with low commission and plenty of profit opportunities across markets. So join me and let's make money together regardless of what happens in the world. This is the trader's largest advantage.